Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like our content, let us know by liking the video and subscribing to our channel.
Let's see who you are. I take off your disguise. And flick.
Ever since I first saw this clip from Thor Love and Thunder trailer, a question popped into my head. What's underneath the blur on Thor body? Size, just kidding. Chris H has a rad bod and all, but speaking of Thor and hammers, I don't swing that way. Hey ho. No, the question I've been asking myself is, what type of knife would Zeus carry with him, to cut an apple, or an ambrosial fruit, or a heretic non-believer? Well, question no more. I present to you, the Zeus ThunderBowie, not David Bowie, God rests his soul, the Bowie knife, shaped like thunder. Lighting. Thingy. Looks good, right? Let's see how you can make one for yourself, easy, cheap, but very sharp and pointy. First, some basic materials, easily obtainable from your local hardware store. An angle grinder and a set of assorted wheels. Cutting, grinding, cleaning and sharpening will all be done using this versatile little tool. Now, you also need some good steel, but steel is not cheap. I suggest you buy one of this saw discs. Make sure you get a larger one. The cool thing with these discs is that they are made from two good steels, sandwiched together by hot pressing, called the Sanmei technique. You will need a hammer, a file and some good wood for the handle. And you're set to go. Now, first thing first, draw out your design on the saw blade. Use a Sharpie or permanent marker, red or green. Black color will not be visible in the next stage. We will next cut the shape we want, using the angle grinder and the cutting disc. Cut small portions at a time, if you are a weekend user of the grinder. Angle grinders are dangerous tools and you need to be cautious. Please. Now we have a rough shape of a knife, it's called a blank. Let's use the grinding disc with the angle grinder and finish forming the shape of the blade. Take small portions of material off, at a time. Don't hard press the wheel on the steel, rather let the wheel work for you. Sometimes, I find it useful to use the back of the disc or the sides, but for that I use a 6mm disc rather than the regular 3mm ones. Be careful, please. Now, we will use the abrasive discs with the angle grinder, to clean the blank and to start forming the cutting edge. We will give the geometry of the edge, not the final sharpened edge. Otherwise, when we harden the blade, the edge will crack if it is too thin. My preferred geometry is the Scandi grind, which is a 25 to 35 radial degrees angle, useful for cutting and chopping. If you like convex or any other more, feel free to apply that to your blade. Now, to the handle. We need to cut a piece of wood of appropriate size to the handle we want. use your hand or the hand of the knife owner as reference. Cut it a bit larger, it's better to have more material than not enough. Drill a hole in the middle of the handle. Use drill bit equal in size to the overall girth of the tang. Now, let's harden the blade. Use a metal container to hold the oil, it's gonna get really hot and melt plastic containers off. As for oil, I like to use sunflower oil mixed with paint thinner. Ratio should be 80% sunflower to 20% thinner. Mix them well in the container. For heating, we will use a small improvised coal forge. You need a coal grill or a cooking pan or pot will do. Coal or charcoal is needed to Put the blade in the hot coals, on the side or edge facing up. Never put it edge down in the fire. The heat in this little inexpensive forge will reach temperature 1300 degrees Celsius if used correctly. Once the blade is colored red hot to almost incandescent, remove from fire and quickly shove it in the oil container, 3 times, after which, cool it in cold water. This will give you maximum edge hardness. You will be able to cut glass with this knife. Let's clean the hardened blade, while it's still semi-hot from the hardening process. I like to use a wire brush with copper wires on my angle grinder for this. Because the blade is still somewhat hot, the copper will give the blade a nice glare, Goldilocks-like. But if you don't have a brush like this, use the abrasive disc that you used earlier. It's still gonna get a nice, gray, stonewashed color to it. Let's sharpen the edge. Use the angle grinder and the softest grit abrasive disc you have in your kit. Now it's all about sharpness, so watch it. No hard passes with the grinder, use soft and quick touches with it. You risk either damaging the edge geometry or even worse, overhitting the blade and lose hardness to it. Keep it aside some cold water in a glass. Pour water on the blade from time to cool it off. It would be a shame to repeat hardening process after all that hard work. It's handle time, nah, can't touch this. Sigh, excuse my dad joke. We will hot press the wood piece to the blade. To do that fast and painless, place your blade in between two straight pieces of wood, and place the contraption in a vise. This will reduce overheating the rest of the blade, you will see. Now, you will need an electrician torch for this step, to heat to red color the tang of the blade, the little pointy thing at the end of your blade. Once is red, take the wood handle and the hammer and bit it, gently, on the tang. Using the softest abrasives discs and the angle grinder, start hard shaping the handle. Take soft passes, remove little bits of material at a time, don't go too hard into the wood, or you will reduce too much of it and will have to make a new handle. Be gentle, after all, it's your baby project. Using a few washers and a metal screw, we will create a little bit of metal hat on the end of the handle. I think it's named a hilt. This, at the end, is going to be hammer-like, useful if you want to, crack a nut. Sight. A band of hand abrasive, 280 grit minimum, is going to be useful to finish smoothing the handle. Harder than 280 grit will splinter the wood, so watch it. For the metal hat, hammer thingy at the end of the blade, use your angle grinder and gently remove material, to make it look like one solid piece. Phew, we are almost there. Now we start with the fine details, final touches, prettying the handle and the blade, make it rust resistant and so on. You can stop now, you already have a nice blade, but we want to make a blade for a god, so let's make pretty things to it. I will pyro engrave Greek letters into the handle, using a soldering iron. After that, the handle is going in a bath of rinsed oil, to make it harder and waterproofed. I will write Greek letters onto the blade as well, using a paint stick. A paint stick is literally the badass brother of the permamarker. I will then submerge the blade side into coffee formula. A whole can of instant coffee is needed for this step. Last but not least, using some lacquer paint that resemble copper color, I will add final touches to both handle and blade. You can skip this step if you don't like how it looks. And voila! The ThunderBowie has been created. It's been a lot harder for me to cut and edit the video, than to actually make the knife, so I would appreciate a like, maybe even subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think in the comment section. See ya!